Hello, class. Welcome to Poetry Unit Lesson 16. We're going to be using a really cool poetry tool today called Onomatopoeia. Sometimes it's referred to as onomatopoeia. We're not going to worry about it. Potato, potato, whatever. So I refer to it as onomatopoeia. What is onomatopoeia, you might ask? Well, let's go over it. Onomatopoeia is a word that mimics the sound of the thing it's referring to. So, what do I mean by that? Well, basically, the word is making the sound. So, if you want to describe how a stone goes into the water, you may use the word plop, right? It is the word, it's also the sound. So, it's a word that mimics the sound of a thing it's referring to. Let's go over some examples of onomatopoeia now. So, we have the campfire's crackle echoed off the trees. I love listening to campfires crackle, especially on a nice summer night when I'm going camping with my family. Another example of onomatopoeia is stones plop into the water from the young boy's hand. We recently went to Eagle Pond, my family and I, and we skipped some rocks and we also chucked some rocks into the water. Some of them went plop. Some of them made some really much louder sounds, but that's because the rocks were much bigger that we chucked in there. All right, and last but not least, another example of onomatopoeia is pipes clanked onto the plumbing supply store's greasy floor. The only reason I used plumbing supply store is because I used to work there, and I certainly know the sound of a pipe falling to the floor, and it definitely makes a clanking sound. So clank is a great use of onomatopoeia as well. So in your poetry form that you're going to write today, I would love for you to try to use an example of an onomatopoeia. Okay. So speaking of poetry form, your poetry form today is a cinquain. That's right, a cinquain. A cinquain's a nice little easy poem. It's a 5-line poem that does not rhyme, so you don't have to worry about rhyming today. It does have a 2, 4, 6, 8 2-syllable scheme. Yeah, that's right. We are going to be using the poetry tool of using syllables. Okay. We've used them in haikus, we've used them in tankas. Now we're going to use them in a cinquain. So this one is pretty simple. Okay, it's pretty short. I'll give you the example now. We'll go over it. So the first line is a 2-line or 2-syllable line, I should say. Pumpkin, pumpkin. Just tap it out, clap it out. It's just making 2 sounds, right? Second line, grinning orange, grinning orange. Again, 4 syllables, clap it out if you need to, or sound it out with your fingertips, whichever way you want to make sure you're using the correct amount of sounds. Third line, we are going for 6 syllables, sitting on the porch steps. Sitting on the porch steps. Not bad, right? Then the fourth line is the longest one with 8 syllables. I wish you could stay forever. 8 syllables. And then the last line again is a 2-syllable line, Jacko. And oftentimes when I've looked at cinquains, the first line and the last line often have to do, they are often similar to each other. That you don't have to do that, but they can be similar to each other. So, all right. So now it's time for you to make a great poem. I hope you enjoy using onomatopoeia and writing a cinquain. Enjoy!